Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning on in. This is going to be a fun week because it's whaling season, boys. It's the most wonderful time of the year. You put on your sea captain's hat, your pipe, your glasses, you sharpen your harpoons, because this is what I love. Whispers, rumblings, rumors, reports, tweets, subtweets, likes on Instagram, who's following whom. I love all of this. I love rumor mills. I love the blogs. I love Reddit. I love looking at all of this every which way. I love digging into old stuff. I like thinking about new stuff. This is the most wonderful time of the year because it is whaling season. I love it. I love it so much. And it got off today with a bang. Because I was going to do today's video and I was going to talk about Bradley Beal doing Bradley Beal stuff again. Where he's like, I know my decision, but I'm not saying what it is. I'm getting recruited by people, but I won't say by who. I'm like, dude. Seen this act 1,000 times, Bradley Beal. Call me when you sign a $250 million contract with the Wizards. I know that's coming, all right? I know that's coming, all right? All this teasing and taunting and twisting and turning, it's all just a ruse to let you know I'm staying with the Wizards. And then maybe I'll demand a trade. But today, a Shams bomb coming out saying that the Nets and Kyrie Irving in a bit of an impasse. And ergo, it looks like he may be pursuing other pastures elsewhere. Could be going Knicks, Lakers, aren't they? You know, that's the classic thing when they don't have anything on you. Oh, where's he going to go? Lakers or Knicks? Really? The Lakers. So let me get this straight. I just wanted to point. So in that scenario, we have Kyrie Irving reuniting with LeBron James, who he ditched, and Russell Westbrook reuniting with Kevin Durant, whom ditched him. Like that's what we have going down as the likely step here. First of all, I don't know why the Nets would do that. Second of all, not buying it. The Knicks, like, all right, again we're gonna do this with the New York Knicks. Like that's gonna happen. Don't smell it. Don't see where it could go. So it did get me pondering because this is funny enough. I was asked about this the other day. We were talking about this. I was talking about this with the great Dan Day from 790 The Ticket. And by the way, if you like 790 The Ticket, you like the Tobin and Leroy Show, go check us out on that page as well, youtube.com/The Ticket Miami for all your silly sauce needs. It was good to be back in the South today. Be there every single day this week, 6 to 10 a.m. But color me intrigued when he was like, oh, what do you think? And he's like, Kyrie Irving coming to the Miami Heat. It's stupid, right? And I'm like, is it though? Is it a silly scenario as you think it is? Because not like the Heat weren't in Kyrie Irving rumors before. It's not like they've never been mentioned with the guy in past lights. And then a couple of things, shout out to Heat Reddit, came to light today. Because the big thing I wonder about is, okay, let's say the Miami Heat would be in on Kyrie Irving, the case for, the case against. First, you have to know, well, what does Jimmy Butler think about it? What would Jimmy Butler think about it? The idea of trading for Kyrie Irving. A little aloof, a little, a little bit of a wild card. Obviously has been dicey on whether or not he's going to play basketball for whatever reasons over the last couple of years. What does Jimmy Butler think? And funny enough, he read it. Shout out. I saw this clip circulating, and this was from First Take in 2017, and this is what Jimmy Buckets had to say.
I'd like to play with that guy, or like him to come and play with me. Who would it be? One guy? Yep. I'll probably have to go with my favorite player, who's not myself, and that's Kyrie. I love Kyrie's game, man.
Really interesting. Very interesting. So Jimmy Buckets, just a mere 5 years ago, that could be a lifetime in the NBA, but he did say when he was with the Chicago Bulls that the player he'd love to play with the most, Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving would be the player that he would like to play with the most in this whole NBA. In fact, there were other reports. This is from 2018 that Jimmy Butler and Kyrie Irving at one point wanted to play for the same Eastern Conference team back in 2018. That the duo is still trying to figure out a way to play together. Interesting. So, big obstacle number one. Would Jimmy Butler like to play with Kyrie Irving? His past says yes. Yes, he would. Okay. Interesting. Well, how about this little ditty? How about the fact that your second best player, Bam Adebayo, he also happens to have a pretty good relationship with Kyrie Irving. You'll remember after Bam Adebayo dropped 41 points against the Brooklyn Nets that Kyrie Irving came on his post-game Zoom, was asked about Bam Adebayo, and this is what Kyrie had to say about that.
Oh, man. Yeah, 41, 9, and 5. Okay. I mean, it was about time Bam had 40, in terms of getting a lot of those moves that he's been working on in the offseason. And I've known Bam since he was 15, 16 years old. So just watching him grow since high school, be able to take over at this point for, kind of a undermanned Miami team, it's good to see. And obviously I'm pretty sure he would like for this game to be a win in terms of having that. But, for me, I'm nothing but a supporter of Bam, and I'm glad that, he got to shoot well and we got the win.
Known Bam since he was young. Always going to be rooting for Bam. So, you have reports that the Heat pretty much willing to deal anybody except for Jimmy and Bam this week. Shout out to Adam Barai for your work. And, not surprising. People out there who think the Heat would trade Bam Adebayo, I think you're nuts. I think that's all hogwash. If anybody thinks that would be a maneuver, the only way I could ever see it happening, and I'm not even sure if I'm for this, because I got my own feelings about the guy, but is if there really was some Joel Embiid I want out scenario and he wanted to play with Jimmy Butler, I find that to be the only thing that the Heat would just take pause and be like, we got to think about it. I think that is, but other than that, let's talk about real trade scenarios, real trade pieces. I don't think he's in any of them, and I don't think he should be. I love the guy. I think that he's a great player. I think that he's only getting better. I thought there was some cool stuff I read this week from Anthony Chang about him adding the three-pointer to his game. We'll get to that at another time and day. But the point here is Kyrie Irving, Bam Adebayo, good relationship. Jimmy Butler and Kyrie Irving reportedly have had a good relationship. Jimmy Butler on the record saying, the guy I like to play with the most, Kyrie Irving. These are all interesting tea leaves. Kyrie Irving being all cryptic on Twitter, seemingly acknowledging everything that's going on with the happenings that are happening with his free agency. We've heard this for a while, that the Nets would be very hesitant to give him a long-term deal. I think a lot of teams would be hesitant to give him a long-term deal. I think that's a very, very big question if you're the Miami Heat. For a guy in Kyrie Irving, would you give him the long-term deal that he believes he deserves, that a star player of his caliber usually gets? Because a guy who is as good as him, as talented as him, it's usually not even a question. Would you give Kyrie Irving this kind of deal? So I think that's an interesting question. Now, the idea of, okay, Kyrie Irving is not Heat culture. Okay, that is definitely always going to be this guy. I get this all the time because I put out the clips on Twitter. People are like, this guy is going to ruin Heat culture. This guy he's going to sink Heat culture. Guys, come on. You're being silly. Okay? A lot of this was talked about with James Harden. James Harden was like, oh, this guy's not Heat culture. Can't go trade for him. I didn't want to trade for James Harden. None of it had to do with the Heat culture stuff. None of it. None of this. I don't want this guy because he can't pass Riley's fat test, all this stuff. Bullshit. Okay? That's not why I wanted to trade for James Harden. I didn't want to trade for James Harden because he's a choke artist and he'll never, ever win an NBA championship. That's why I didn't want to trade for James Harden. But the idea, he goes to strip clubs and he's not, come on. You guys sound silly when you say stuff like this. If Jimmy Butler wants to play with the guy, the Heat are going to try and make it happen. I think you saw that this year with Kyle Lowry, who is a intangibles all the way, Heat culture, and has all of that stuff. But, the hardest working, best conditioned, whole thing that goes in the mantra, didn't really hit all those according to Pat Riley. Now, that's another thing that could be against this is, okay, would Jimmy Butler be cool with getting rid of Kyle Lowry? Because I don't know how tight Jimmy Butler and Kyle Lowry, I don't know how tight that Jimmy Butler and Kyrie Irving are. We know that Jimmy Butler and Kyle Lowry are tight. They are super close. And brought him in, left Toronto, decided to come to Miami. Whole jump in the gun punishment that the Heat had to endure for that. Would Jimmy Butler be cool in a place where the Heat have to get rid of Kyle Lowry to bring in Kyrie Irving? That's an interesting question that the Heat would have to deal with. I don't know. Does Pat Riley sit down with them and say, hey, this is the scoring punch you really need, okay? Guys got younger legs, better shape. This feels exactly like what we need, that final piece. The other thing is, what do you have to give up for Kyrie Irving in a scenario like this? Like Donovan Mitchell, you got to basically, I feel like, give up everything. He's 25. He's got years left on his deal. You would have to give, I feel like, Utah everything you could outside of Bam and Jimmy to make that deal happen, if that's even enough. Kyrie Irving, situation where I don't know how many teams are going to want to give that money to him. So if you're willing to pay him where other teams aren't, does that put you in a better place as far as the deal is concerned? And do you have to give up, let's say, a Tyler Hero in a deal for Kyrie Irving? Maybe not. So could you see a place where you add Kyrie Irving aside Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo and are still able to keep Tyler Hero? That would be the ultimate win, right? Because if the Heat could be in a place where you have Jimmy, you have Bam, and you still kept Tyler Hero, and you have Kyrie Irving on top of it, that's a home run trade from my scenario. Because I feel like in a Bradley Beal trade, Tyler's gone. I feel like in a Donovan Mitchell trade, Tyler's gone. Kyrie Irving, I don't know. It could be possible that they would be able to pull this off. This seems like the kind of thing where a guy is so disgruntled and they just kind of want to get away from it that it's almost like would the Heat be able to fleece the Nets in a spot where they could do it without giving up Tyler? Would that be possible? I'm not saying it's probable. I'm just wondering if it's possible, because that's another thing that makes this much more intriguing to me than just go get Bradley Beal, go get Donovan Mitchell. If you could add somebody like Kyrie Irving and you could keep Tyler Hero, now we're talking, as they say in the biz, a win-win, my friends. Now the case against, okay, Kyrie Irving, there's a reason why the Nets don't want to keep him around. There's a reason why the Boston Celtics didn't want to keep him around, okay? There's a reason why him and LeBron James butted heads. So this guy clearly has not been the easiest dude to be in a locker room with. You believe who you want to believe. James Harden wanted to get the hell away from Kyrie Irving. Like, the guy seems like he could be a huge pain in the ass, okay? But is friends with a lot of very, very good players and seemingly would have a good relationship with your two best players in this possibility. But it's a question. Here's another thing. Most teams that he goes to do not get better. The teams that he leaves, they seemingly flourish. They're okay. Boston, they did okay without Kyrie Irving. Cavaliers, they still did okay without Kyrie Irving. They did not need Kyrie Irving to get back to the NBA Finals. Boston Celtics got to the Eastern Conference Finals after Kyrie Irving left. Twice got to the finals without him too. It was a whole thing this year. Look at what the teams that Kyrie and KD left, look where they are. And that could be another argument on the other side. It's like, well, you're telling me you really wouldn't take Kevin Durant even though the Warriors went back to the finals? Okay, that could be one in your feather of your cap too. Maybe you're back on my side. I don't know. But to me, the thing I like most about this, if this is the potential orca that's out there, if Kyrie is the potential whale, is one, Jimmy Butler on the record that he wants to play with him. Two, Kyrie Irving on the record loves him some Bam Adebayo. Three, maybe a possibility you could get this deal done without giving up Tyler Hero. Those to me are the three big things. If you could still keep your essential, your three core guys and upgrade your point guard in scoring punch in youth, in shape, but is a little bit of a weirdo. I think that's a pretty great scenario for the Miami Heat. I really, really like it. I get that there are some real trepidations about the guy, but everybody praises what the guy can do on a court. Everybody knows what a savant he is with the basketball in his hands. I've never, been the biggest Kyrie Irving fan in the world. I do love his shoes, though. I got to be honest with you. It's a shame to see that he left Nike because I liked me some Kyrie. I had a couple of pairs of Kyries, and my son had a pair of Kyries. They always seem fire, and you always seem to be able to get them at the Nike outlet too. And I was like, man, I'm no sneakerhead, but this is like some sweet heat on my feet. I'm just saying. I think that this is one of those that the Heat, if they're looking at this, have to wonder to themselves, okay, would Jimmy be down with this? Because it probably means up getting rid of Kyle Lowry, his friend. Is he going to be okay with that? Are you going to be okay with giving him a lot of money? That's an interesting question, too. Because the interesting thing with Kyrie is, like, with giving him a lot of money, we're not talking about a guy that feels like he's going downhill physically, right? Like, the reason you wouldn't give James Harden a big deal, or people are scared about giving James Harden a big deal, is because it genuinely looks like he's physically declining. Like, he is not going to physically be the same guy that he is at the first 2 years of that deal that he will be at the last 2 years of that deal, right? But the whole point of these are, like, you get the deal done, you lock the guys in, you have an asset, and you kind of figure the rest out, right? That's why you give Jimmy Butler the extension. Why? Do you necessarily have to? No, but it makes Jimmy Butler happy, makes him feel like he's your franchise guy. If you got to pay him $50 million when he's 36 years old, you do it. Kyrie Irving, it's just like, well, if we get this deal done, and you don't have to give up Tyler Hero, which is a huge part of this. Because if you do have to give up Tyler Hero, I'm like, is that the way I want to go? Him aside from Bradley Beal. Even if you think talent for talent, Kyrie's a little bit better, maybe Bradley Beal is just as good, just a little bit less, but much safer case, right? But I know I have to give up Tyler Hero. If I don't have to give up Tyler Hero, that's a huge thing for me. But the idea of giving him the money, I kind of feel like there's always going to be somebody who's going to want to roll the dice on Kyrie. The Lakers, look at Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook, he beep, 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 pinging around all these different teams. People are still trying him out. Rockets, Wizards, Lakers. Horrible contract still. He's Russell Westbrook. He's a star. Even the Hornets are rumored to go after him. Someone's going to try it out, right? I feel like Kyrie's that same stuff. Even if you gave him the money and it's a disaster, he's still a weirdo. It didn't work out. He still feels famous enough that somebody will be like, you know what? Bring in Kyrie. The fans will love it. So, is it that dangerous? Is it that dangerous? I ask you, Heat Nation, because I know there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be rats off a ship on the idea of Kyrie Irving. But for me, I kind of dig it.